And what's going on, guys? It's Straw Hat Brian. I am back again here to deliver my One Piece Chapter 882 review for you guys. If you haven't read it yet, I suggest you check it out now. Spoilers will be lurking in the video ahead. Without anything left to say, we're going to set sail right into this review. So cover page, we got to talk about the cover page, new cover page story involving another Straw Hat Grand Fleet member, Ideyo. If I'm not mistaken, he is the Long Arm from the Long Arm tribe. He's the one who specialized in boxing. So obviously his ship is the one that's closest to us in the panel, well, not the panel, but the cover page story that we're looking at. And you see two ships in front of him, and you see like the little bubble that has his face, and he's like kind of concerned about the two ships. I don't know if the two ships are having a like a fight. I don't know if they're if there's something going on with them. I don't know if he just recognizes the two ships from somewhere or something. I can't really put my finger on the ships either. Can't really tell you where or who the ships might belong to, or maybe the ships are probably all three ships as a collective. But I'm not really sure. We don't really get that much detail. So, onward to the actual chapter. This chapter, I gotta say, this chapter was a fine chapter. This chapter was a good read. It starts off with Dogtooth and Luffy. That's why that's what I do like about the chapter. It started off with Dogtooth and Luffy resuming their fight. So you already know when this gets animated, it's going to be a decent fight. But Luffy versus Dogtooth, you have Dogtooth, basically he has the upper hand still, and Brule is mocking Luffy, and basically she's giving us a little bit of a backstory on Dogtooth. So she goes to say the day that Dogtooth was born, so he's a newborn, he sat up, he walked himself over to a chair, sat in it, and then he fell asleep. So this dude got some long limbs. So he must have been a pretty tall baby as a kid. So I believe he is a long limb member. So, or he's from the long limb tribe. Because I remember that one bounty list for, it wasn't a bounty list. It was just the list for the slave trade, for like how much, for the auction, slave auction. I remember back in Sabaody, you saw that long arm members, long legs, long legs, long arms, but there's also long limbs. So I mean, there's a combination too, and I think that is what Katakuri is. But just to have him being undefeated, being someone whose back has never touched the floor, who's never been down. I feel like I wonder who has he fought up until now, like other pirate crews. I am wondering, like, what is his I mean, obviously I'm guessing he's won all of his fights, but what if, because like he just finishes all his fights like really quick, he doesn't really he's never really fought anybody who's ever given him a challenge. And that's what it kind of seems like is happening in this arc, well, in this fight between Luffy and Katakuri. So the scene moves on with Luffy trying to attack Brule because he's sick of Brule mocking him, and then Katakuri actually defends Brule, and he says, "Do not ever lay a finger on my dear sister." So the fact that he's showing emotion and showing that he actually cares for his family gives us that idea that Katakuri probably relates, probably would relate to Luffy in terms of, I must protect my family, I must protect my Nakama, my crew members. So yeah, that was surprising, in my opinion. And then we get to see Katakuri demonstrate his move, Mochi Thrust, which reminds me of the move Luffy used against Eneru, which was Gomu Gomu no Ogan, or Ogan rifle, or Oregon rifle, and basically smashed Eneru with his own gold that he melted onto Luffy's arm from the Arc Maxim, because he thought that was a smart idea. He just didn't know that rubber conducts electricity. That's the reason why Luffy was stomping him in the first place. But he was all cocky and he felt like he was God and whatever. But that's a story for another day. That's a video for another day. So Katakuri, we find out that his spear named is Mole, and then we see that he is giving Luffy these hands, and Luffy is like, "Bro, I need a moment. I gotta catch my breath. Like, can you just stop?" Luffy's like, "Can you like?" Well, now he's not saying anything, but he's just like, you can just tell from Luffy getting his ass beat. He's like, "Bro, can you just stop? Can you just stop giving me this work? Because I haven't seen Luffy get this work in a while. Like, he's getting these hands from another character. Like, this reminds me of Marineford a little bit, all over again." And like a little bit when he fought Rob Lucci, and Lucci gave him them hands. So you know, the scene moves on, scenario moves on, and Brule ends up calling Perospero, and ends up alerting Perospero, telling him that, you know, the Straw Hat members are still alive and that they need to head over to Coco Island because that's where they plan on rendezvousing. And Perospero's like, bet. And he tries to tell Big Mom, but Big Mom's not trying to hear none of that. She's still in her candy-induced coma thing, and she's trying to, like, go get some nuts from Nut Island. That is wrong, and I know Oda did that to make a joke. I know he did that to make a joke. Oda, I tip my hat off to you. That was clever. So, Big Mom's going to be sidetracked. So, I did come across a theory. I don't know. I can't credit who it was because I'm not sure. But if anyone knows who made this theory, please credit them. But I did read upon a theory where Big Mom, from her candy-induced comas in this arc, would destroy a lot of her territory, and then thus, like, the Straw Hats would play a role in helping and getting her, well, figuring out what causes these candy-induced rampages, or sweet-induced rampages, and how to avoid them. So it seems, and basically from the dialogue with Tamago that I'm going to cover a little bit later on in this video, also kind of stimulates that theory, kind of adds on to that theory. And I'm going to get into that. But yeah, Big Mom's getting sidetracked. She's going to go rampage and destroy Nut Village and eat a bunch of nuts. So that's what's about to happen. She's about to gobble them nuts, bruh. She's about to gobble these nuts. So she's probably very used to that too, seeing as she has so many kids. She has 80-something kids. 80-plus kids. She was getting it in. Anyway, again, I'm going on a tangent. So it goes on with the fight between Luffy. The scene goes back to Luffy and Katakuri's fight, and Luffy is giving Dogtooth a little bit of trouble and is stressing Dogtooth out. So it does say that Luffy is a contestant for Dogtooth, when Brule, and you know, as she was mocking Luffy, was saying that Luffy he's like fodder to challenge Dogtooth, because Dogtooth is so perfect and so strong and so powerful, and that's the reason why he is number one, because he's never been defeated. He's undefeated, and he's never been knocked down. So Luffy is like, you know, just to see that Dogtooth acknowledging that Luffy is kind of putting on the pressure, but Dogtooth still has the upper hand. He's still giving Luffy this work. He's still giving Luffy these hands, and then he uses flowing mochi, so which is basically him mochifying the ground and basically turning the area around him into mochi, confirming he is an awakened devil fruit user. So for a Paramecia perspective, because we don't know how awakenings really work for Zoan and Logia types yet. I mean, we got an idea from Crocodile, but we haven't really seen the full extent. But from I'm forgetting his name, Magellan, from him being awakened, you can tell from all he did with his ability, and it seemed like he was somewhat able to become his ability. From what it seemed like from Treble, I believe he was, you know, not confirmed yet, but I believe he was an awakened devil fruit user, from the fact that he couldn't simply be touched, and it seemed like he was a Logia type when he wasn't. Katakuri now demonstrating that it appears he has Logia-like ability, but he really is a Paramecia like Luffy, and he can change his surroundings just like Doflamingo. And for Luffy to acknowledge that, saying like, hey, he's doing the same thing Doflamingo is doing, bro. Now all this is kind of confirming and opens up more theories to what awakenings for Logia and Zoan types could be. It's like, it's amazing. So that also, in my opinion, might confirm Marco being, for his own, being awakened devil fruit user because he's able to regenerate his life. So essentially, it's like he has the upper hand. Like he can continuously keep fighting. So that in itself was amazing. So now it opens up the possibilities to my theory in my previous video. What I think is Luffy going to be able to rubberize his surrounding area, and thus, can you imagine if Luffy rubberized a mountain or rubberized a sword, or you know what I mean, or just and imbues hockey into it and all that other stuff? Like, could you imagine that? I think that would be amazing, and I think we are going to get Luffy going to be able to split himself as rubber into a separate entity and be able to do like 2 Gear 4 Luffys. I'm still calling that. I'm calling that right now. So I'm going off on a tangent again. That's my mini theory. But I'm wondering if Katakuri is going to use Gear 4 because he's like, Gear 4, interesting. So you already know he's seeing into the future with his observation hockey. A couple seconds or I don't know how long the duration is, but he sees that Luffy's going to use Gear 4, and we obviously see that Luffy's biting his arm, about to blow into his arm and puff up himself and be Gear 4. He's about to puff and well, he's not going to pass, but he's about to get it in. So scenarios switch, the scene switches back over to Peckham's and he's with Mont Dior and Tamago, and he's mourning the death of Pedro. Mont Dior is like, bro, like, get over it, man. Like, it's whatever. Like, I understand he was your comrade, but he was our enemies. Like, he was your mentor, but he was our enemy. Your mentor, our enemy. Do the math. And Tamago's like, bro, don't be so hard. And it was shocked me to see Tamago actually praising Pedro for his sacrifice and saying that, like, what you guys are missing the point is that this guy was full on willing to give up his life to let these guys set sail, and probably not really knowing them as well. So he tips his hat off and he says, like, he somewhat is mourning Pedro and mourning Pedro and Peckham's loss as well. And he goes to say that maybe they are underestimating the Straw Hats, and he says that a careless emperor shall lose their crown or something like that. Like, that's strong dialogue, basically foreshadowing that. And he says that we can't let Big Mom's name be besmirched. So you already know that somehow throughout this arc, Luffy is going to go up another level somehow, some way. And it might not be about his strengths this arc, but it might be his reputation is about to go up another level. So waiting to see how all that's going to plan out. Lord Custer radios in to Mont Dior and basically telling them that they lost track of Capone, and Capone scene switches over to Capone, and he's heading over to Coco Island. He's like, yo, I don't know why the transponder snails and why the ship stopped following us, but yo, we about to go do what we gotta do. So I'm happy Capone is back. He is back in this mother. He is about to lay it down. He's about to go get his girl, because he's like, I ain't leaving without my wife, son. I got a baby. We got a baby to take care of. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like that a lot. And, radio transmission goes back over to, from Germa, and it's basically, Niji is pretending he's using one of the people, he's touching them, and his abilities, he's able to, I'm guessing, change his voice. So he's radioing the Mont Dior, pretending to be one of the Big Mom pirate members. And he's basically saying, like, yo, Germa is destroyed, you guys ain't gotta worry, blah, 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 blah. Like, for some reason, communications have been cut, but, Germa, the place is, they're destroyed, so you ain't gotta worry about them. And then scene switches over, and then you see the Germa just standing there, defeated all the Big Mom members, and they're just sitting there all tough. They're back in the story. I was wondering when they were going to come back. This is about, and then for Ichiji, and I knew it, Ichiji has taken control. Now that Judge is out of the picture and has been knocked out for the moment, Ichiji is taking command, and he is about to put in that work. So I feel like we're about to really see what is the war capabilities of the Germa 66, and I am ready. This is about to get epic. This whole climax is about to be epic. It's still going to be fighting. I feel like there's still going to be a good amount of fighting, and then we're going to get the cake, and then we're going to get other things that's going to wrap everything up, and then we're going to move on to something else. I guarantee that's how this arc is going to wrap up. This is my review of One Piece chapter 882. I'm going to rate this chapter a solid 4.5 out of 5 because it was damn near perfect. I loved the pacing. I loved everything from the dialogue to the revelation of abilities and the revealing of Katakuri being an awakened Devil Fruit user. All of that just wrapped up this chapter pretty nicely and sets us up for the next chapter to come. So I'll see you guys when that next chapter drops. This is Straw Hat Brian. I'm signing out. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for more. I love you guys.